For our next story, we're heading out to the Free Church of Oregon in northeast Salem. We're talking the tippy northeast corner of Salem, way out by Lake LaBiche. Now, did you know that Lake LaBiche is one of the most fertile patches of farmland in the nation? It's an old lake bottom, and for decades, the Lake LaBiche area was the center of Salem's Japanese American community, where farming families grew crops like onions, strawberries, and world-renowned celery. Unfortunately, in one of our nation's sadder chapters, that vibrant community vanished under Executive Order 9066. In the aftermath of Pearl Harbor, President Roosevelt signed the order to establish internment camps up and down the West Coast. People of Japanese descent, including those living in Lake LaBiche, were sent to the camps between 1942 and 1945. Most families never got their property or their possessions back. As we heal from that difficult chapter, it's important to learn and grow. What are the current issues of justice today? How can we embrace them? And who can help us do so? Our next stop on the Fancy Bus Tour will introduce us to an amazing movement that many folks haven't yet discovered. It's a movement led by pastors and law enforcement leaders. But I'm getting ahead of the story. Let's turn it over to my colleague, Imani Hall. Both of us have been working with this coalition to help spread the word and build bridges. In other words, the table-serving format that DJ talked about earlier. Well, I see we've arrived at the church and Imani's hopping off. He'll introduce us to Pastor Michael Weaver and Salem's Chief of Police, Jerry Moore.
Hi, Pastor Weaver.
Imani, how are you?
Good to see you. I'm doing well. How are you? Chief
Imani,
Moore.
great to see you.
Great to see you as well. Thank you both for having us here at Free Church Oregon. Pastor Weaver, could you tell everyone more about the Coalition of Churches and Bridging the Gap?
Absolutely. It'd be my pleasure. But first, I want to personally thank you for all your hard work, Imani, on the whole marketing piece and helping with the questions and setting this thing up. That of yourself and Salem Leadership Foundation made this whole thing possible.
Of course, SLF is really grateful to be a part of the work that you all do in the community. We're really grateful to be able to just support all the work that you all do. Chief Moore, could you speak to the genesis of the Bridging the Gap?
You bet. Well, it all started with a phone call from Pastor Ronnie Brooks. And he invited me to a service at Pastor Marilyn Williams' church, and which is where I first met the Coalition of Churches and all the pastors. And this was shortly after the Ferguson decision. So quite frankly, I didn't know what I was walking into. But we arrived and we were welcomed with open arms, and it was one of the most open and honest and supportive church services that I could ever imagine. There was no finger pointing, there was no attacking, and it was, I think it was called a healing service, if it was. And it was really a group of people saying, we don't want Ferguson to ever happen in the city of Salem. And it was so good, quite frankly, that I wanted all of our officers to hear it. So I invited Pastor Ronnie Brooks and Pastor Mike Weaver and Pastor Levi Harris to our in-service training, which is 8 weeks of a couple hours every week where they address 190 police officers and another 50 or 60 civilians, and we talk about issues. The pastors ask the officers questions, and the officers ask the pastors questions, and there were these weren't cream puff questions. These were hard-hitting questions about what's it like to be a cop? What's it like to be black in Salem? What are the issues that are going on? Quite frankly, for us, I think it allowed us to create a dialogue of relationship and trust, which was really important.
So Pastor Weaver, after these trainings, what happened next?
From that, Bridging the Gap was born. So it was an exciting opportunity to bring not only our clergy, not only our officers, but our locally elected officials, as well as our entire community. All that wanted to engage had an opportunity to engage. We had that meeting at the Kaiser Convention Center. We had upwards of 600 people in the audience, and it was phenomenal. From that, we've built to what we just completed was our fourth Bridging the Gap meeting this past March. We've got people engaged today, and that was the whole concept, bridging the gap. The biggest thing we've gained out of this is relationships. We've done a phenomenal job connecting our community, and that's what our aim was.
Awesome, yeah. Well, thank you for the conversation. Thank you both for your time, and thank you both for your service. I have to get back on the bus, but Chief Moore, always good to see you. Pastor Weaver, always good to see you as well.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Great to see you.
Have a good rest of your day.
Take care.
Take care.
See you.